I tightened the silk sash around my waist, feeling the binding cloth press against my chest. The fake documents tucked inside my sleeve felt heavier than gold. One wrong move and I would be executed. But I had no choice. My family's honor depended on stealing that decree. The palace gates loomed before me as I joined the other new concubines. Their painted faces looked nervous. Mine probably did too, but for different reasons. I was Lin Yue, son of a murdered general, not some delicate flower meant for the emperor's bed. Guards barely glanced at us as we entered. The harem was larger than I imagined, with red pillars and golden roofs stretching endlessly. An old eunuch led us through winding corridors until we reached a courtyard. There, across the lotus pond, I saw it, the sealed pavilion where the decree was hidden. My heart pounded, I was so close. Then gasps erupted around me, the other concubines dropped to their knees. I turned slowly, blood turning to ice. The emperor himself stood at the courtyard entrance, his dark robes billowing in the wind. His eyes scanned the crowd of kneeling women. Then they stopped directly on me. I was too shocked to kneel, my legs refused to move. The emperor's gaze pierced through me like a blade. Everyone around me trembled with their foreheads pressed to the ground. I stood there like a fool. "You," his voice cut through the silence, deep and commanding, "why do you not kneel?" My mouth went dry. This was it. My mission ended before it began. I dropped to my knees quickly, but the damage was done. His footsteps approached. Black boots appeared in my vision. A gloved hand lifted my chin, forcing me to look up. Emperor Hua Qingsheng was younger than I expected, maybe 25, with sharp features and cold eyes, but something flickered there when he studied my face. "Interesting," he murmured, "follow me." The courtyard exploded with whispers. An elderly eunuch beside him looked stunned. "Your Majesty, you have never." I said, "Follow me." The emperor turned and walked away. Guards appeared at my sides. The other concubines stared at me with shock and jealousy. I had no choice but to stand and follow him through the corridors, my mind racing. Behind me, eunuchs whispered frantically, "His Majesty has never taken a concubine to his chambers before." My stomach twisted. This was not part of the plan. The emperor's chambers were enormous, draped in red and gold silk. Incense burned in jade holders. My heart hammered as servants closed the doors behind us, leaving us alone. Hua Qingsheng removed his outer robe and turned to me. "Undress." Panic seized my throat. "Your Majesty, I cannot." His eyebrow raised. "Cannot?" "I am ill," I blurted out, bowing deeply. "A sickness of the body. I would not want to displease you with my condition." Silence stretched between us. I kept my head down, praying he would believe me. My binding cloth would give me away instantly. Everything would be over. His footsteps approached again. A hand touched my shoulder gently, surprising me. "Then we will not force it," he said quietly, "but you will stay here tonight." I looked up, confused. His expression had softened slightly, though his eyes still studied me with unsettling intensity. He guided me to the massive bed. My entire body tensed as he lay down beside me, still fully clothed, his arm draped over my waist, pulling me close. "Then I will simply hold you tonight," he whispered against my hair. I lay frozen, barely breathing, feeling the emperor's warmth against my back. This was worse than any torture I had imagined. Morning light filtered through the silk curtains. I woke to find the emperor already awake, watching me with those calculating eyes. I sat up quickly, smoothing my rumpled dress. "You sleep restlessly," he observed, "like someone who fights even in dreams." My pulse quickened. "I have nightmares, Your Majesty." He reached out and took my hand, examining it carefully. His thumb ran over my calloused fingers. My hands were too rough for a sheltered concubine. I tried to pull away, but his grip tightened. "Strange," he murmured, "these hands have held more than embroidery needles." I needed to distract him, fast. I cleared my throat and quoted an ancient poem about morning dew and forgotten warriors, letting my voice carry the melody of the verses. I had studied poetry for years. It was the one skill that proved useful now. The emperor's eyes widened with genuine surprise. "You know the Lost Dynasty poems." "My mother taught me," I said softly, "before she died." His expression shifted, something almost vulnerable crossing his face. He released my hand and stood. "You are not like the others." As he dressed, he glanced back at me. "I will uncover all your secrets, little one." The promise in his voice sent chills down my spine. 3 days passed in the Emperor's obsessive attention. He summoned me every night. I continued my excuses and somehow he allowed them, but his patience was wearing thin. I could see it in his tightening jaw. During the day, I mingled with other concubines searching for information about the decree. That afternoon, I witnessed something terrible. Concubine May, a kind woman who had spoken to me yesterday, collapsed during tea service. Her lips turned blue, foam bubbled from her mouth, the other women screamed and scattered. I rushed to her side but guards pulled me back. She was dead within minutes, poisoned. The head eunuch ordered her body removed quickly, his face grim. "Another tragic illness," he announced to the frightened concubines. But I knew better. I had seen poison before. This was murder. That night, as I returned to my quarters before being summoned to the Emperor, a palace maid bumped into me. Something crinkled in my sleeve. After she hurried away, I found a folded note hidden in the fabric. My hands shook as I read the scraggly writing, "Do not let the Emperor touch you, or you will die next." Someone knew I was close to him, and they were watching. The jealousy in the harem became suffocating. Concubines who once ignored me now glared with open hatred. I was the Emperor's favorite, though I never wanted the position. They started with small sabotages. My dresses were shredded, ink spilled on my writing paper, expensive hairpins disappeared. I reported nothing. I needed to stay invisible, but the Emperor's attention made that impossible. One afternoon, I returned to my quarters to find 3 concubines waiting inside. The leader, Concubine Zia, smiled coldly. "You think you are special," she hissed. Before I could respond, one of them shoved me hard. I stumbled but caught myself. Another grabbed my hair, pulling viciously. I could fight back easily. My training made me far stronger than them. But I could not reveal that. So I fell, crying out, letting them scratch and hit me. I protected my chest binding but took blows everywhere else. Their jealousy made them vicious. The door suddenly burst open. Emperor Hua King Sheng stood there, his expression transforming from surprise to something terrifying. His eyes turned murderous as he took in the scene, me on the floor, bruised and crying, surrounded by the concubines. The room went silent, the women turned pale. "Guards," the emperor said quietly, too quietly. The interrogation was brutal. I watched from behind a screen as the emperor questioned each concubine. His voice remained calm, but his words cut like knives. He demanded names, reasons, confessions. Concubine Zia crumbled first, sobbing about jealousy and favoritism. The others followed, begging for mercy. "Mercy," the emperor's laugh was cold. "You assault what is mine and expect mercy." He stood, his shadow falling over the kneeling women. "From this moment, Lin Yue is my exclusive night companion. Anyone who approaches him without permission will be executed." The concubines wailed, but guards dragged them away. I felt sick. I had not wanted this attention. Now I was trapped even more tightly in the emperor's obsession. He came to me afterward, his fingers gently touching the bruise on my cheek. "Did they hurt you badly?" "I will survive, Your Majesty." His jaw clenched. "You should not have to merely survive." That night he ordered guards stationed outside my door. "He does not leave this room without my permission," he commanded them. I was no longer a concubine, I was a prisoner. The decree felt further away than ever, yet I could not give up. My family's deaths demanded justice. 2 weeks passed in suffocating captivity. The emperor visited me every night, content to simply hold me, talk with me, study me. His obsession grew deeper. I needed to escape his attention long enough to reach that pavilion. Finally, an opportunity came. The emperor left for a military council that would last hours. I convinced the guards I needed medicine from the imperial physician. They escorted me, but I slipped away in the crowded medical courtyard. My heart raced as I made my way toward the forbidden pavilion. I stayed in shadows, avoiding patrol routes I had memorized. The pavilion appeared before me, silent and ominous. Guards walked in predictable patterns. I counted their rotations, noting the gaps. There was a way inside, but I would need tools and perfect timing. A scroll through the window showed maps and seals. The decree had to be there. I was mapping the guard rotation when something moved behind me. Before I could turn, a hand grabbed my throat and slammed me against the wall. A masked figure in black loomed over me, another intruder, their eyes narrowed behind the mask. "Who are you?" they hissed. I could not answer, we were both here for the same thing. The masked attacker's grip tightened. I drove my knee up hard, breaking free. Training took over, I blocked their punch and struck back. We fought silently, desperately. They were skilled, but so was I. We exchanged blows in the darkness, both trying to stay quiet. I was winning when I heard footsteps. The Emperor's voice called my name from nearby. Panic flooded through me. If he found me fighting, my disguise was finished. I grabbed the masked attacker and did the only thing I could think of. I kissed them. The figure went rigid with shock. I made soft sounds, pretending passion as the Emperor rounded the corner. I pulled back from the attacker, who stumbled away into shadows. "Your Majesty," I gasped, pressing against the wall as if I had been caught in a romantic moment. I was just. Hua Qingsheng stared at the fleeing figure, then at me. His expression was unreadable. He stepped closer, backing me against the wall. His hand cupped my face. "Who was that?" he demanded. "A guard, I think." I was confused. The darkness. He kissed me then, hard and possessive, not gentle like I expected. His mouth claimed mine with bruising intensity. When he pulled back, his eyes burned. "I knew you were lying." The Emperor dragged me back to his chambers, his grip on my wrist unbreakable. Once inside, he locked the doors and turned to face me. "Who taught you to fight?" His voice was dangerously quiet. I had prepared for this. "My mother was sick for years," I said, letting tears fill my eyes. "We lived in a dangerous village. I learned to protect her from thieves and worse. I am not proud of it." His expression softened slightly. "You fought like a trained soldier." "I fought like someone desperate to survive," I corrected. "There is a difference, Your Majesty." He studied me for a long moment. Something in my words seemed to satisfy him, though doubt still lingered in his eyes. He pulled me close, his forehead resting against mine. "You attract danger," he whispered. "I cannot let you wander freely anymore." My stomach sank. "Your Majesty, I need some freedom." "No." His arms tightened around me. "From now on, you sleep in my bed every night, you eat where I can see you, you breathe only where I can protect you." I tried to protest, but he silenced me with another kiss. "I do not trust anyone else with you," he murmured against my lips. I was trapped, completely and utterly trapped. Living in the Emperor's chambers meant being surrounded by his life. While he handled court matters, I explored the room, searching for anything useful. That was when I found the wooden hairpin. It was simple, carved with a dragon and phoenix intertwined, hidden in the back of a drawer wrapped in silk. The craftsmanship was masculine, not meant for a woman. I turned it over and saw initials carved into the base. My chest tightened. This belonged to someone important to him. I asked a trusted servant later carefully. Her face went pale. "That belonged to His Majesty's companion from years ago, a young man from a noble family." "What happened to him?" She lowered her voice. "He was executed for deceiving the throne. His Majesty never spoke of him again." My blood ran cold. The Emperor had loved a man before, a man who had lied to him, and that man had died. I was holding the hairpin when I sensed him behind me. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. "Why are you touching that?" Hua Qingsheng's voice was barely above a whisper. I turned slowly, the hairpin trembling in my hand. His face was unreadable, but his eyes held an ocean of pain. I expected rage, violence, death. Instead, the Emperor's shoulders sagged. He walked slowly toward me and took the hairpin from my shaking hands. "His name was Liang," he said quietly, staring at the carved wood. "He entered the palace as a scholar. I was young, foolish. I loved him." I stayed silent, barely breathing. "He was sent by enemies to assassinate me," the Emperor continued. "But he fell in love too. He could not complete his mission. When the truth was discovered, my mother demanded his execution. I had no choice." His eyes lifted to mine, raw and vulnerable. "You remind me of him." My heart twisted. This was dangerous, too dangerous. He stepped closer, cupping my face with trembling hands. "Your eyes, your sharp tongue, the way you look at me like you are not afraid." "I'm afraid," I whispered. I know, his thumb traced my cheek, but you stay anyway. Before I could respond, he pulled me into his lap on the bed, arms wrapping around me like I might disappear, his face buried in my neck. I will not lose you too, he whispered desperately. I sat frozen, feeling the Emperor's heartbeat against my back. I was playing with fire, and I was already burning. The next day brought new danger. During an afternoon tea gathering with other concubines I was forced to attend. The Emperor wanted me to have some social interaction, though guards watched my every move. Concubine Zia, still bitter despite her previous punishment, offered me a cup with a sweet smile, special tea from my home province. The other concubines watched with barely concealed anticipation. I recognized the trap, but refusing would cause suspicion. I took the cup, thanking her graciously. As I raised it to my lips, I pretended to stumble. The tea splashed across the table. In the confusion, I switched my cup with hers. My apologies, I said, taking her original cup instead. She tried to protest, but etiquette demanded she drink from the cup in front of her now. As she raised it, I called out, "Wait, I think something fell into your tea." Everyone looked. A servant examined the cup and found a dissolved powder at the bottom. Poison. Concubine Zia's face went white. She tried to run, but guards seized her instantly. She screamed her innocence, but the evidence was clear. When the Emperor arrived, his verdict was immediate: execute her now. Your Majesty, I protested, perhaps prison. No, his voice was final, cold. She tried to murder you. By sunset, Concubine Zia was dead. I could not sleep that night. The execution played in my mind. The Emperor noticed my distress and pulled me close. You asked me to spare her, he said quietly. She was jealous and foolish, but death seemed. No one touches what is mine, his voice turned sharp. I will not lose you to poison, to schemes, to anything. I sat up looking at him. I am not an object to be owned. His eyes flashed dangerously. In one smooth motion he pinned me to the bed, hovering over me. His hands gripped my wrists, his breathing unsteady. You are everything to me, he said roughly. Do you understand? Everything. I have killed for you. I will kill again. I will burn this entire palace down if it keeps you safe. This is madness, I whispered. Yes, his forehead pressed against mine. It is, and I do not care. His grip loosened, becoming gentle. His thumb traced circles on my wrist. Why do you keep trying to leave me? The question sounded broken, vulnerable. I had no answer, because I had a mission, because I was lying to him, because staying meant losing myself. But looking into his desperate eyes, I could not say any of it. I am here, I whispered instead. It was not enough, but it was all I had. I needed to focus on my mission. The Emperor's obsession was suffocating me, making me forget why I came here. I had to find that decree. Using a sick servant as an excuse, I slipped away one afternoon. The pavilion called to me. I watched from a distance, nodding something strange. Workers were loading sealed boxes onto a cart. They were moving the documents. I followed discreetly as the cart traveled through the palace grounds. It stopped at a different building, one I had not considered before. Guards unloaded the boxes carefully, carrying them inside. That night I pretended to sleep while the Emperor held me. Once his breathing deepened, I carefully extracted myself and slipped out. The guards at the door had changed shifts. I used a servant's passage I had discovered. The building was heavily guarded, but I managed to peer through a window. Inside, a general knelt before the sealed boxes. I recognized him from court, General Wu, the Emperor's most trusted military advisor. The Emperor must never know the truth written here, the general said to someone I could not see. His father's crimes would destroy him. My breath caught. The decree contained something about the previous emperor, something devastating. I needed to see what was inside those boxes, but how? Getting that information meant taking bigger risks. I researched General Wu, learning his routines, his residence location. The man was disciplined but not impossible to infiltrate. 3 nights later, I drugged the Emperor's evening wine lightly, not enough to harm him, just enough to make him sleep deeply. Guilt twisted my stomach as I watched him drift off, trusting me completely. I left through the servants' passage again, dressed in dark clothes I had stolen. General Wu's residence was across the palace grounds. I scaled walls and avoided patrols, my training finally useful. Inside his study I searched frantically, documents, maps, letters, then I found it. A small golden key hidden inside a book about military strategy. It looked important, ceremonial. I took it and fled, my heart pounding. This key had to open something significant, maybe the boxes, maybe the decree itself. When I returned, I slipped back into bed beside the Emperor. He stirred, his arm immediately reaching for me. I held my breath. Cold, he mumbled, pulling me closer. I relaxed, he was still asleep. But morning brought disaster. The Emperor woke before me and I felt his absence immediately. I sat up to find him standing by the window, his expression dark. "Where did you go last night?" he asked quietly. My blood turned to ice. I could not speak. The Emperor turned to face me, his eyes filled with hurt and fury. "Do not lie to me again," he warned. "I woke in the night, you were gone, the guards said you never passed them." My mind raced, I could not sleep. I walked in the gardens through the back passage. For hours he stalked toward me. "My guards searched, you were nowhere." I started hyperventilating, the panic attack I had faked before becoming real now. My chest heaved, tears streamed down my face. The binding cloth felt too tight. The Emperor's anger crumbled. He rushed to me, pulling me into his arms. "Breathe, just breathe." I sobbed against his chest, overwhelmed by guilt and fear. He held me, stroking my hair, murmuring soothing words. I had manipulated his compassion. I was a monster. When I finally calmed, he lifted my face gently. "I cannot lose you," he whispered, "but your secrets are tearing us apart." He reached into his robes and pulled out a golden bracelet, beautifully crafted but clearly a shackle. He locked it around my wrist with a small key. "This cannot be removed without breaking the lock," he said softly. "It bears my seal. Now everyone will know you belong to me." He kissed my forehead. "Now you cannot leave me." I stared at the golden chain, feeling my freedom disappear. The Empress Dowager summoned me 3 days later. The Emperor tried to refuse, but even he could not deny his mother's direct order. Guards escorted me to her private chambers. She was older than I expected, with sharp eyes and a cruel smile. She dismissed the guards, leaving us alone. "Lin Yue," she said slowly, "such an interesting name for a concubine." My blood ran cold. "Your Highness." "I know what you are," she said calmly, sipping tea. "I have known since you entered these walls." I could not breathe. She knew I was a man. She knew everything. "My son is a fool for love," she continued. "He was a fool for that boy Liang, and now he is a fool for you." "I do not understand." "Hua Qingsheng killed Liang with his own hands," she interrupted. "Did he tell you that?" "No, he cut his throat because Liang lied, because Liang deceived him." She leaned forward. "And he will kill you too when he finds out you are a man. When he discovers you entered this palace to steal from him, he will destroy you just like he destroyed Liang." My hands trembled. "Why tell me this?" "Because I want you to run," she smiled, "before my son's madness consumes you both." The warning felt genuine, but also like a trap. I could not tell which. The Emperor fell ill suddenly. "Poison," the physician announced grimly. Someone had tainted his food. The palace erupted into chaos. I stayed by his bedside as he burned with fever. Guards questioned everyone, servants were arrested, but I could not leave him. Despite everything, I could not watch him suffer. I helped the physician using knowledge my mother taught me about herbs. We created remedies trying to flush the poison. The Emperor drifted in and out of consciousness, calling my name deliriously. During one treatment, I leaned over him to check his pulse. My binding cloth had loosened from days of stress and little sleep. His hand suddenly touched my chest, pressing against the flat surface where curves should be. His eyes opened, clearer than before. "Why does your body feel wrong?" I froze. His hand pressed harder, feeling the cloth binding underneath my dress. Understanding dawned in his fevered eyes. "What are you hiding?" he demanded weakly. I pulled back, adjusting my robes frantically. "Your Majesty, you are confused from fever." "No," he tried to sit up but was too weak. Tell me the truth." My mind scrambled for lies. "I have an illness," I said desperately. "A deformity of the chest. I am ashamed of it." His expression shifted from suspicion to something softer, understanding, pity. Lin Yue, he whispered, I do not care about your body. Over the next days, the emperor recovered. His strength returned, but his attention on me intensified. He believed my lie about deformity, and it seemed to make him even more protective. One night he pulled me close in bed. His hand slipped beneath my robe, touching the binding cloth. I tensed, but he was gentle. You hide yourself, he murmured. You think you are flawed, but you are perfect to me. Guilt crushed my chest. He thought I was a woman ashamed of scars or deformity, not a man deceiving him. He kissed the cloth covering my chest softly. I will protect you, he promised. No one will hurt you for being different. Then his eyes hardened slightly. But do not lie to me again. Whatever secrets you carry, trust me with them eventually. The warning was clear. His patience had limits. I nodded, unable to speak. He held me close, and I felt the weight of my deception grow heavier. He was falling deeper in love with someone who did not exist. And I was falling too, into something I never expected. The emperor was cruel, obsessive, dangerous, but he was also vulnerable, broken, desperate for real connection. I was betraying him, and somehow that hurt more than I thought possible. But I still had a mission, and that golden key hidden in my quarters was the answer. I waited until the emperor was distracted with important court matters. The stolen key burned in my pocket, General Wu's key. I had studied it carefully, noting its unique design. The decree had to be somewhere unexpected, somewhere no one would think to search. Then it hit me, the emperor kept the secrets closest to him. I searched his chambers while he was gone. Behind paintings, under floorboards, in hidden compartments, nothing. Then I checked beneath his own bed. A locked compartment was built into the bed frame. My hands shook as I inserted the key. It turned smoothly. Inside was a single scroll sealed with the imperial mark, the decree I had been searching for, right here, under the emperor's bed where he slept every night. Which meant he knew what it contained. He had always known. I unrolled it carefully, reading the ancient characters. My blood ran cold as I understood the words. It was an execution order for my entire family, every member of the Lin clan, ordered by the previous emperor, signed and sealed. This was why my father and brothers had died. This was the proof I needed. So this is what you have been searching for, a quiet voice said behind me. I spun around. The emperor stood in the doorway, his expression unreadable. The silence stretched between us. The decree trembled in my hands. The emperor walked slowly into the room, closing the door behind him. How long have you known? I whispered. That you were searching for something? He tilted his head. Since the beginning. I am not a fool, Lin Yue. He took the scroll from my shaking hands and unrolled it, reading the terrible words aloud. His voice was steady, factual. Let it be decreed that the Lin family guilty of treason against the throne shall be executed without mercy. Signed, Emperor Hua Zhen. He looked at me. My father wrote this before he died. My family was innocent, I said, tears burning my eyes. My father served loyally, my brothers were children. I know, his admission shocked me. My father was paranoid in his final years. He saw traitors everywhere. Your family was not the first he destroyed unjustly. Then why hide this decree? He stepped closer. Because I wanted to protect your clan, the few survivors scattered across the empire. If this decree came to light, my mother and the court would demand I enforce it. I hid it to keep them safe. I stared at him, trying to understand. You protected my family. Yes, his hand cupped my cheek. Because the sins of our fathers bind us tighter than fate, I will not continue his madness. I wanted to believe him, but trust was a luxury I could not afford. The emperor guided me to sit down. His expression was serious, almost sad. There is more you need to know. He knelt before me, meeting my eyes. Lin Yue, that is your real name, is it not? My heart stopped. Your Majesty. Stop, he held up his hand. I have known for weeks. I had you investigated the day you entered the palace. I know you are the youngest son of General Lin. I know your brothers died with your father. I know everything. The room spun. Then why? Why did I let you stay? He laughed bitterly. Because I am a fool, because from the moment I saw you I could not let you go. He pulled out another scroll from his robes. This is what I did not want you to see, the real reason your family was targeted. I unrolled it with shaking hands. It was a prophecy, written by the court seer 20 years ago. A child of the Lin bloodline shall rise and dethrone the Hua dynasty. The last son will bring the empire to its knees. I looked up at him horrified. This is why we were killed, because of a fortune teller's words. My father feared it, my mother feared it more. He took my hands. She orchestrated everything. She convinced my father your family was dangerous. She ordered the executions personally. Then I am your enemy, I whispered. Yes, he agreed. According to prophecy, you will destroy me, you will take my throne, you will end everything I am. He pulled me close, his eyes fierce. I do not care. The emperor's confession hung in the air. I tried to pull away, but he held firm. I entered this palace to steal evidence, I admitted finally, to expose the royal family's crimes, to clear my father's name. I know, his voice was calm, too calm. I lied to you about everything, my identity, my gender, my purpose here. I know that too. I looked at him desperately. Then why do you still want me? His hand tightened on mine. Because prophecy or not, lies or not, I choose you. I will not kill an innocent man because of words written in fear. Before I could respond, the doors burst open. Guards in black poured in, weapons drawn. These were not the emperor's men. Behind them walked the Empress Dowager, her face cold and determined. Foolish boy, she said to her son, I warned you about this creature, now you leave me no choice. The guards advanced, but not toward me, toward the emperor. Mother Hua Qingsheng stood slowly. What are you doing? You have grown too attached to the enemy, she replied calmly. The prophecy will come true if you live, so you must die. The emperor's eyes widened in betrayal. You would kill your own son. To save the empire, she smiled coldly. Yes. The assassins attacked. The emperor drew his sword, pushing me behind him. We were surrounded, betrayed, fighting for our lives. Chaos erupted. The emperor fought like a demon, cutting down assassins with precise strikes. But there were too many. I grabbed a fallen sword, my training taking over. Together, we fought back to back. The Empress Dowager watched from the doorway, fury twisting her features as we survived each wave of attackers. You see, she screamed, this is the prophecy, a Lin fighting beside the emperor bringing destruction. No, Hua Qingsheng shouted back, this is you bringing destruction. We fought our way toward her. Other loyal guards, hearing the commotion, burst in and joined our side. The tide turned, the assassins fell or fled. Finally, we cornered the Empress Dowager, the emperor's sword pressed against her throat. Confess, he demanded, confess what you did to the Lin family. She laughed bitterly. I forged that decree, I added the treason charges, your father signed it because I convinced him they were dangerous. The prophecy terrified me, so I eliminated the threat. You framed innocent people, I said, my voice shaking. You murdered my family. And I would do it again, she spat. Guards seized her. The emperor looked at her with disgust. You will stand trial for your crimes, and you will pay for every drop of innocent blood. He turned to me, breathing hard, wounded but alive. Blood stained his robes. He took my hand, pressing it to his heart. The prophecy was wrong, he said. You did not dethrone me, you saved me. I looked at him, this obsessive, dangerous, broken man who had chosen me over everything. Then let us destroy they.